Hey guys, it's me. It's Queen Said Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, pass it on to somebody else who might like it too, and drop us a positive comment in the comment section. And don't forget to stick around to the end because I'm going to read two of my favorite comments from a couple days ago. So, every once in a while, I talk to you guys about different abilities or things, spiritual, psychic abilities that are common with Aquarius. So here's another one. I wanted to tell you guys about this one. And many of you may have this, even if you're not Aquarius. It's very common. It's called precognition. Precognition means knowing, but knowing something before it actually happens. This happens to a lot of people, but it's very common with Aquarius, and that's why I wanted to talk about it today. Because a lot of Aquarius tell me that they have precognitive dreams, precognitive visions, all kind of things along those lines. It can happen when you're awake or when you're not awake. A lot of people tell me that they experienced this, so I wanted to tell you about it. People who have precognition have the tendency to be clairvoyant. Clairvoyant means clear seeing. So these people might see other things too. They might see the past. They might see the present. They might see things that are going to happen, which is the future, as in precognition. But they're clear seeing. So they're able to see things that other people may not see. They may see them in dreams, and they may just be sitting there staring off into space and see something. You know, and somebody else might think it's a daydream, or they might think it's your imagination, but it actually is occurring or does occur. So I'm going to give you an example in real life of how this happens. A friend of mine was telling me that she was home asleep. Now, her husband was supposed to be at work. He worked the 11 to 7 shift. Apparently, he was supposed to be at work, but didn't go to work. He went to see another woman. My friend was home in bed asleep, thinking that, you know, he was just doing his shift. She says she went to sleep and she had a dream. And in the dream, she was signing divorce papers. This was the whole dream. It was very quick. She said she saw her signing her name, and the top of the paper said, his name, her name, and petition for divorce. And she saw herself signing it. So she woke up from the dream and she was like confused because she had no reason to divorce him. They had, in her mind, a great relationship. And she was just like, I don't know, that was like spooky, you know? So she shook it off as just a dream. You know how we do. We see something disturbing and we just shake it off. So she went back to sleep. So the next day, when she woke up, some kind of way, he got his signals crossed. And he had told, I think it was his supervisor. He told his supervisor to cover for him. But he had gotten his signals crossed with his supervisor. And his supervisor called the house because he couldn't get him on his cell phone because homeboy was at the hotel asleep with this girl. So the supervisor called the house asking for him, who's supposed to be with the supervisor. So my friend said that he asked for him. She automatically knew something was wrong, but she didn't let on. So she just told him some okie doke, you know, like, oh, he's in the bathroom or something like that. I'll have him call you back. So to make a long story short, after she finished doing her investigative work, she found out he had been seeing this woman. She found, I think it was a receipt or some kind of way she got the credit card charges. I don't know if it was online or a piece of paper or something like that, but she found the receipt a couple days later, and then she found other receipts that he had been seeing this person repeatedly. It had been for a while. I don't remember how long, but it had been for a while, she said, and apparently he had been sleeping with this person. So the dream that she had was a precognitive dream because she ended up divorcing him. And she said when she was standing there signing divorce papers, she looked around and it looked just like her dream. And I mean, that's a very, small thing. But I mean, it was a major catastrophe in her life. And she said that when it first happened, she could feel that it wasn't just a dream. She could feel that something was wrong. So that's a precognitive dream. So Aquarius are very prone to these kind of dreams. And it can be a little flash, like all she saw was herself signing. It could be a full dream. I'll give you an example that happened to me. One time, before I even got into spirituality, before I knew what any of this even meant, I was like 22 years old. I was a young girl. Oh my God, I can't believe it's been that long. It's been like 21 years since this happened. And I went to go see one of my friends in California, first time. And I was taking a nap. I remember I said I was going to take a nap because he was coming over after work. So I was going to take a nap until he got off work. So I was taking a nap and I had a dream. I had a dream that someone came to the door, knocked on the door, and I said, "Who is it?" And they said, "Room service." And I looked through a little peephole and it was him. And I opened the door, we hugged each other and started talking. That was the whole dream. So I was asleep, I just had this crazy dream. And then I woke up because somebody was knocking at the door. So something in me was like, okay. So I got up and I walked to the door and I said, "Who is it?" And he said, "Room service." And I looked through the peephole and I was like, because I had just had the dream. I mean, I had just woke up from it. And I was like, that's eerie. So I opened the door. I gave him a hug. Everything that happened in the dream. We started talking. We sat down. I told him about the dream. And I just thought it was so weird. He thought it was just a coincidence. But come on. You did exactly the same thing. I've never been in this position with him before. He's never knocked on this door. I've never been here to visit before. He's never said room service. Why would he say room service instead of his name? And why would my subconscious come up with that? Because it's not something I would think to say. If I knocked through somebody's hotel room door, I'd be like, "Yo, it's Queen, open up." But he was, playing around and said, "Oh, it's room service." And I was like, what? So it was a very small thing. It wasn't a big deal, but it was precognition. Another time, a friend of mine said that her daughter got into a car accident. And she said she was sitting on the couch. Her daughter lived in a different state. And she told me she was sitting on the couch watching The Young and the Restless. Because that was our show back in the day. We used to love the soap operas. And she said she was sitting on the couch watching The Young and the Restless. And all of a sudden, she could see her daughter screaming. That's all she could see. She said her hands were like this. Her hair was flared out. And she was screaming. And she said she wasn't asleep. She was, wide awake watching TV. And she said that it sent chills through her body. So she jumped up. And this was back in the day. It's before we even had cell phones. She jumped up and she called her daughter. And she couldn't get her. Daughter wasn't home. And later on that night, her daughter called her from the hospital and told her she had gotten into a car accident. And she didn't have, this was the creepy part, she didn't have on her seatbelt. So her mom, was asking her these questions. And apparently, this was her going through the windshield. She didn't go through the windshield. She cracked the windshield and then came back. But she didn't have her seatbelt on. She could have, for all intents and purposes, flew right through the window. But luckily, I ain't even going to say luck. That's a blessing. She got a blessing and she lived to tell the tale. But the point was that her mother, wide awake, watching TV, saw that moment, just that flash of her baby girl. And when she told me about it, I was like, wow. And again, this happened before the accident. Not much before, but before the accident. So I was sitting there like, wow, so she saw it before it actually happened. So I say all this to say, if you're Aquarius or if you're not, and you've ever had experiences like this, what you're experiencing is precognition. You can Google it. There's books about it. There's websites that talk about it. I think there's even a movie based on it. And it comes from being clairvoyant. So the more you open your third eye through meditation or whatever methods, meditation is the method that I know, and crystals to open the third eye. So if your third eye is open wide enough, you'll see these things. And they happen at random from what I've experienced. They happen at random. It's just like in the case of the room service. I don't even know why that happened. It just happened, you know? So they happen at random. And it seems like most of the time it's tied to things that are really important in your life. That situation for me wasn't really important, but the other examples that I gave were much more important, much more pressing. So if you want to know more about it, Google precognition, look at clairvoyance, and you can see if you have, if you've experienced these things, and read other people's stories about it, because it's definitely something that happens very commonly with Aquarius. All right, Aquarius, let's read this now. We're going to take a look at 2 positive comments. This one came from Justin Wilhite. Justin says, I know a Leo at work that likes to argue with me to externally process her insights. It's exhausting. I know it is. And I don't like being around her sometimes because of that. I know exactly what you mean. I know a lot of people who like to mentally spar. I call it mental masturbation. And it bores me. It's exhausting sometimes. It bores me sometimes. It's annoying sometimes. Because sometimes people, you're the only person they know they can do that with. You're the smartest person they know, or you're the only person who knows about certain topics that they like to debate about. Some of the times you're that person for them. And they'll come around all the time wanting to argue, wanting to debate, and I just don't do it. I'd be like, okay. I just shut it right off. So for a lot of us, maybe that's the smartest thing to do, is just to shut off. Nicole Henderson. Nicole has received one of the highest number of hearts from me. Hey, sweetheart. She said, hey, Queen, I'm so glad you did a reading on this. Okay. It was such a powerful message. I wish there was a way for everyone to see this video and take away something positive from it. Thank you for this video. She's talking about the video I did where I did a reading on the unrest in the United States. I think it was last week. So if you're interested in checking that out, please do. And the only way for people to see it, Nicole, is for you guys to spread it. Or all of us. I've sent it to people too, for all of us to spread it. So if you know somebody that might benefit from that video or any of my videos, feel free to pass them around like party favors, okay? All right, now it's time for us to get going. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget, if you want to get a reading done, please email me and I will give you an appointment. And come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.